In this video, we are going to talk about addition and subtraction of fractions, and lines and segments. When adding or subtracting fractions, we need to make sure that they have the same denominators before adding or subtracting the numerators. Here's an example. 5 over 8 plus 2 over 8 equals 7 over 8. When the denominators are both the same, in this case 8 and 8, we can simply add the numerator 5 and 2 together, and that equals to 7/8. For subtraction, 5 over 8 minus 2 over 8 equals 3 over 8. The same situation, with the same denominator, we simply take the 5 minus 2, and that equals 3. So we have 3 over 8. And next, we have something called the mixed number. Mixed number is the sum of a whole number and a fraction. So, for example, if we have 12, 3/8, this is equivalent to 12 plus 3/8. They're called mixed number because it's a whole number and then a fraction combined. So if we want to add a mixed number together, an example such as 12 3/8 plus 2 5/16, what we would do is we want to make sure that the denominators are the same. In this case, we have 8 and 16, so they're not the same. But what we can do is we can make both the denominator 16, because 8 times 2 equals 16. We would take first the denominator, times that by 2, the numerator times that by 2. We want to make sure that when you times the denominator, the numerator always also times the same number. And then we plus 2, and we leave this the same because the bottom's already 16 in this case. And the answer that we would have would be 12 6/16 plus 2 and a 5/16. And the answer for that would just be 14 11/16. Okay, so that would be the answer for the addition. Okay, now we're going to try some same denominator examples. Here's an example. 5 over 8 minus 2 over 8. And the answer would be 3 over 8. In this example, all we have is simply 5 minus the 2 equals 3. Because the denominators are the same, so there's nothing that's needed to be done on the denominator end. Now let's try a different question, but we're going to use different denominators. Okay, the example would be 5 over 9 plus 2 over 5. Okay, now here we see that the denominators are not the same. So what we need to do is make them the same. And the way to do that is we see 9 and a 5, when we times them together, they equals 45. So what we want to do with the first number is because it's 9, so we need to times it by 5. And when we times the bottom by 5, we have to times the numerator by 5 as well. The second number is 5 on the denominator end, and we need to times that by 9 to get to 45. And the top is 2, so we also need to times that by 9. And the answer will come out to 25, 45 plus 18 over 45. And the answer for that is 43 over 45. So that would be the answer. Now let's try an example with 3 different fractions added together. 3 over 5 plus 1 over 8 plus 1 over 8. In this example, we see there's denominator 5, 8, and 8. By looking at this question, we can tell that we can make the denominator 40 for all 3 of the fractions. So what we'll do is we'll take the 5, times that by 8, and do the same to the top. The second one, 8, we need to times by 5, and the top we need to times by 5. And the last one will be the same. And after we actually times it, we get 24, 40, 5 over 40, plus 5 over 40. After adding, now that we see the denominators are the same, all we gotta do is just add the top numerators. And that will come out to 34 over 40. And if we simplify that, basically divide 2 on top and divide 2 on the bottom, and we would get 17 over 20. So that would be the answer for this question. Now let's try a different question of addition with mixed numbers. An example would be 7 3/8 plus 6 over 1/3. Okay, in here we see the denominators are not the same. And we can make the denominator the same by taking 8 times 3, which is 24. So what we want to do is 8 times 3. And the top also needs to times by 3 as well. And then we bring the 6 over, and then we want to times the 3 by 8 and times the top by 8 as well. And that would equal out to 7 9 over 24 plus 6 8 over 24. And the answer for that would be 13 17 24. Now let's try a subtraction of mixed numbers. 10 1 over 4 minus 4 3/7. In this example, the denominators are 4 and 7. So we can tell that if we times 4 by 7, that will equals 28. So we can make the denominator the same by timesing the 4 by 7 and 7 times by 4. So in here, we have 10, 4 times by 7, and the numerator also needs to times by 7, minus 4 3/7. So the denominator needs to times that by 4, and the numerator needs to times by 4. Okay, and the answer would be 10 7 over 28 minus 4 12 over 28. Here we can see that the 7 over 28 is less than 12 over 28. So what we need to do here is to borrow 1 from the 10 here. And so this will become 9. And this will be 28 on the denominator and 35 on the numerator. Minus 4 12 over 28. And the final answer would be 5 23 over 28. Now we want to talk a little bit about how we went from 10, 728 to 9 and 3528. For every 1 that we borrow from the 10, it's 28 over 28. So originally it was 10, 7, 28. If we were to take away 1 from the 10, that would equal 9. And the 28 plus the 7 and the 28 that was originally here, then that would become 35 over 28. So that's why it became 35 over 28. Next, we want to talk about lines and segments. So a simple question of a line will look like this. It will have points on the line. For example, this is A, this is B, and this is C. When we want to describe the distance of A to B, we want to write it as AB with a line on top. And we want to talk about the distance between B and C. We want to write BC with a line on top. Okay, so if we were given a question where we state A, B equals 7 1/8 units, and B to C equals 5 2/7 units. What is A to C? So the way we want to approach this is to first take the distance A to B and then add B to C. And since we know A to B is 7 over 1/8 and BC is 5 2/7, we can simply add it up like the mixed number question that we had previously. And in this example, we have two denominators, 8 and 7. So we know we can times them together for the denominator to be the same. So we're gonna take 7 1/8 times by 7 and times the top by 7 plus 5 2/7 times by 8 and the numerator also by 8. And what we will get will be 7/56 plus 5/16 over 56. And the answer we will have is 12/23 over 56 units. Okay, so these are the examples of additions and subtraction of fractions and how to solve lines and segment questions. Thank you for watching.